Alright guys, for this chat we sat down over Zoom with Gaz from the Senators Guild. We talk about how the guild came about, what it was that inspired him to actually start this business, how it's expanded and moved beyond his world of experience in the military and into police, into first responder, and now into just everyday life. What I found interesting about the Senators Guild is the fact that everything is built off of an ethos and an idea rather than a product. They're not a shirt company, they have a mindset and then they make products through it. They're not a coffee company, they have a mindset and then they've got their products to support that. So sit down, grab a brew and enjoy. So guys, you've obviously come out and made the Senators Guild something that is, in my mind, fairly unique in the sense that you've went with ran a straight product line or service, that sort of stuff. You've almost built it around an ethos. So can you explain a little bit about where obviously that came from and why you decided to, because there's a shit ton of shirt companies.
Yeah.
You do stand out because of
yeah.
So,
well, I've sort of told this story a few times, but it's the brand came about. It wasn't, none of this was planned. It was an accident. I didn't plan to leave the military. I didn't plan to be where I am now. It was, so it's 2000 and the start of 2017. So I started thinking about it probably back end of 2016. But my guys at work, we were on a CT rotation. So during that, you are kind of on very short notice to move, and you're just stuck in camp. And morale can get low. Morale can get fairly low. And it was also at a time where I sort of felt that the zeitgeist with people's perception, certainly in the media towards the military, seemed fairly low. And the guys in my team, I was just noticing that they were just licked out. There was lots of comments about people being pissed off about, their not necessarily not getting any credit for anything. No one wants pats on the backs, but it's nice to feel like you're not disliked.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's a bit of a bit of low morale maybe. And I was seeing that in other places as well. And I thought, well, is there something that you can do just for my team initially, like a t-shirt or something, or just something we could get behind? And yeah, I did a bit of research and came up with the sort of ideas behind the brand. And I wanted it to always be about, I wanted it to always put the emphasis back on you. So it always comes back to you. It's always your fault somewhere. Like, not in a really depressing way, but it's all really up to you. So I think I've digressed slightly there, but that's kind of where it came about.
Yeah.
And I stuck the website together and made sales pretty much straight away. It was weird. And that's not in like a big time chat me out way, but I was amazed. Straight away people bought. I thought, oh, this seems to mean something. But it's the selling point, I suppose, is that it is ethos based, and that's a positive and it's a negative. It's positive because people aren't just, like you said, people aren't just buying a t-shirt; they're buying into an acknowledgement of that they are trying to live a certain way of life. And the other side of that is we're held to that. Yeah. So I can't mess this up. You know what I mean? There's people who have my logo, the logo of the company, tattooed on their skin. There's well over 100 of those people around the world.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. Well, I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's like the ethos comes first, because without that, the rest of it's meaningless. It is just a t-shirt. Like, we don't make the best t-shirts in the world. We don't make the best gear in the world. You know what I mean? It's not. I'm not saying it's crap stuff. It's decent stuff, but that isn't why people are buying. You can buy a t-shirt that's the same quality as mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never once said actually what that ethos is, though.
Okay. So, fair enough. Yeah, this is the problem. Mate. I'm terrible at talking about my own company. I'm terrible at it. I find this on every podcast or anything I go on. I'm awful at it. Okay, so it's kind of developed, but the main thing is you are your actions. So you are your actions. Of anything else that you think you are, or you're told that you are, this is all you are. It's just that. So you're not religion. You're not your job, your paycheck, your gender, your whatever, your sexuality, your colour, whatever you fancy. It's none of that stuff, because I've met people who are good and bad in all of those different persuasions.
Yep.
You can still be a bellend. You know what I mean? It comes down to you as an individual. But yeah, and it's also developed into, we kind of believe in personal responsibility above all else, and service. So service being good for you, being good for everybody. So it's good for the people you're serving, and it's good for you because it gives you an ego check. It puts you beneath other people. And leading on from that is support from people who do choose to put themselves in harm's way. And we do choose. There's a lot of people who want to ride the sort of train of, well, you know, I just got stuck in this situation and isn't it terrible? It's like, no, big guy, you chose to go and do this. And sometimes it was mega and sometimes it wasn't mega. But either way, you chose to do it. So, yeah. But that's kind of the ethos. And it when it comes down to it, I suppose the ethos is just my worldview. It's how I see the world. I've done, you know, I had quite an introspective, like everyone does, like you have quite an introspective period in your life. And I learned a lot during that period about myself and about how I saw the world. And I felt that I was a better soldier when I rejoined. So to be clear for anyone who's listening, I did 5 years in 2nd Battalion Parachute Regiments, got out for 6 years, bummed around a bit, went to uni, did some thinking, did some stuff. And then in 2006, while I was out, 3 para went to Sangin in Afghan. And it was like the first proper nasty tour. And I was watching them on TV going, yeah, I need to get back in. I need to go and do this. So I did. And when I rejoined, it took me a while to get back in. It took me 2 years. In 2008, I rejoined and I went to 1 para SFG. And I was there for about 10, 11 years.
Okay.
But I thought I was a better person for that experience while I was out. I think I was a better soldier. I saw the world better. And I was, So,
yeah.
But that is kind of what we're selling. It sounds weird to say, but we're kind of selling my worldview.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's everybody else's, people are buying the game and people like the ethos, and it shows that it isn't my worldview. There's always someone else who's thinking exactly the same as you are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice. It's a nice little warm fuzzy for people to go, right, world's not that bad.
Yeah.
Well, it is sometimes, but I'm not the only one who's thinking, fuck's sake, there's always someone who's thinking the same as you.
You think it was so I'm trying to think what sort of right sort of time for that sort of, because obviously social media is all popping up and that's getting a decent bashing at the moment from some side that there's no good in it, it's all bad, and then there's obviously people that you can see that sort of stuff where it's all about what people are just putting out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there's good and bad with them, right? There's good with social media that can come from it, and there's bad, and I think we're figuring that out kind of as we go.
Yeah.
Do you think it just kind of came out at the right sort of time, that ethos of it's not just what you tweet, what you say, it's actually what you do?
Mm-hmm.
It's the perfect sort of time for you, or do you think it would happen whenever?
Yeah, no, perhaps. I think we definitely, timing is 100% a lot to do with the success of the company. And that's timing in that I obviously wasn't the only person who was feeling in a similar way. Because I know the police feel, have a similar experience of always feeling like they're the baddies, or, I don't know, war's never fashionable. The fact that we have to go to war sometimes, it's never going to be fashionable, and, no one likes getting arrested. So that sort of, and obviously the other blue light services are included in that.
You get some good stories out of it though.
Well, this just it. Like, there's an element of wisdom that comes from it. You experience the world. I say this quite a lot. I'm sorry, I'll come back to your question there, but like I feel like I've digressed a bit. But when you go away, when you go to war, when you go to wherever, you have certain experiences, and they're good and they're bad. And what it does, it allows you to see the best and worst of life. You see incredible things that other humans do in a good way, and you see incredible things that other humans do in a bad way. And you can't help but be affected by that. And some people are affected negatively in more ways. Sometimes people you can't choose how it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that needs to be managed. But you definitely come back being more aware of the world in general. And that, I don't think that can be a bad thing to be, because I've met good and bad people all over the world.
Yeah.
It's you bring that experience home. That's kind of the positive thing that you can bring home. As for doing things at the right time, yeah, definitely the right time. T-shirt company wise, from a purely business perspective, no one was really doing this stuff. It had been done in the US for like 5 years, 10 years, yeah, approaching maybe 10 years, but definitely about 5 years. And yeah, I was definitely doing it kind of, not saying I did it completely first. There's probably other people I'm not aware of, but we weren't last, and that's helped. Yeah. That's definitely helped. That's the same with Contact Coffee, and I'm sure it's the same with Ben's company HR4K. But the social media thing, it's a dangerous thing, isn't it? Because the reality is, it is still you. And you're right, I'll return to this point constantly, but it's a tool, and that's how you have to treat it. I have to spend most of my life on social media, and I despise it. If I didn't have to do it, I wouldn't do it, because it can be more hassle than it's worth. But it's necessary for me to be online, to be replying to stuff, to be trying to make stuff that's going to advertise the company, and be tracking generally what's happening in the world, because that's a window. Yes, it's a filtered window, but it is a window into what people are up to. But like, it's what you make of it. So you can go down comment tunnels of arguing with people if you want to. You can do that all day, and you'll be wasting your life, and you'll get nothing from it. And we've all been that person that, like, even if you do it for a couple of minutes and then you realize, whoa, what am I doing? We've all done it. But you have to control yourself. You have to get used to going, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I won't engage with that. Well, I remember last time I did that, I started feeling really bad afterwards. So I ain't going to do that again.
Yeah. And that's kind of going back to your actions.
Of course. It's always your fault.
Self-awareness of what's causing and what's like. So some people can pick up a drink and be fine with it, and some people can't.
100%.
So it's not not everyone's the same with stuff. So
yeah. 100%, man. I mean, I notice it myself. So running the business, it's like I have an idea of where I want to go with it, and it's not necessarily the same idea as everybody else who's running similar businesses is. And I find that if I just ignore everybody else, when I say ignore, I have to keep an eye on everything. You have to be aware. But if you start obsessing about what other people are doing, that's when I notice I start to be like, whoa, am I not doing this right? You start to lose confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
You start to think, wow, how have they managed to do that? And I haven't done this, especially if they maybe haven't been around for as long as you, and you feel that they're developing this product. Whoa, well, I've been taking ages to do this. Why can they do it and I can't? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you start to change your path. You don't know all the background of what's happening with them. You don't know that. And that's the same with everybody in life. You have no idea what's really happening, especially through social media.
Have a plan, right? You also think that they know what they're doing and not just reacting to something as well.
Exactly. So I noticed that in myself. So that's the thing because I don't have a problem with comments really or anything like that. I'm very good at just letting that go. I don't respond to anything with the business as myself. It's always responding as the business, and that's a nice little disconnect. But that's what I notice I need to be careful of. It's like I have to stick to what I'm trying to do and not panic about, it's not a fucking race. We're doing different things. It's okay. And also there's space for everybody.
Yeah.
There is space for everybody. Yeah.
The same thing with what we do, right? So not going to go into all the details of them, but we made a massive, like I said to you before we started, change in the way we were doing things, that we'd planned, and we'd sat down and planned out, like, this will take us 5 years to get to where we want to be. And then with COVID and all that stuff hitting and the restrictions, we eventually just decided, right, we're just going to just do it and not. And obviously there's the consequences of lost customers and all that kind of stuff that happens when you make big changes. That's why belongs to a team. But we don't, I don't follow any other gyms. I don't follow any other things like that. And so we're not comparing what we're doing to someone else. And if there was someone 2 streets over doing the exact same thing as us, we're working with 60 people and they're working with 60 people. That's 120 people that got better rather than just that kind of. Do you think that's is it more common? Do you think when you kind of come from the military background of like comparing units and all that sort of stuff?
Okay. So I want to comment on it like specifically, but like there's been things that have been happening that I've been tracking recently, where people have been doing a bit of criticism. There's a bit of criticism knocking around for each other, and there's always that thing. We do have that thing where it's like, because it's certainly the unit that I can only really talk about my unit. So my unit,
power is better than free power, right? And the powers are better than everyone else.
Well, that's just it. So obviously, there's a reason why we're brainwashed like that. There is a reason why we're brainwashed to do that, because when you're in a worse situation you can imagine in your life, believing that actually you're pretty indestructible and you can do anything as a gang is a very helpful thing to have. That tribal mentality is very important, but you have to know that it's programming. You have to understand that it's not really a thing. Like I've been on courses. There's a million hats. If you're going to use that phrase, which is a descriptive phrase, it's not an insult. It's a descriptive phrase. A hat is anybody who doesn't wear parachute regiment cap badge. So it's descriptive. You want to be. It's not meant to be derogatory, but people take it that way. Slightly tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But I've met a million people from other units who are better soldiers than me. Millions of them, because I'm an average soldier. However, I have in my programming that I'm fucking mega.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we do bring that to everything. You can't help that. There's always that little voice in your head. But I think
you seem quite aware though that it is programmed in for a purpose, right? The reason behind that is for this. Is that something they actually? Does everyone come out knowing that, or is it?
No.
You've got enough self-awareness to realise.
No, I don't think everyone does. I think. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's like being, it's like having 2 personalities. Like I could turn on the Pyrex thing where I'm like, well, everyone else is shit. I'm fucking well, and I'll, if I'm talking to in a gang of parachute regiment guys, then we're gonna talk like, oh, do you see that screamer? See what he did? That's just how it is. But most of us know that it's just a shared language and a shared sort of mentality.
Yeah.
Especially if you the thing is to get people one-on-one. It's like anybody. If you talk to somebody one-on-one, oh, actually, you're a nice bloke, aren't you? You're not like you look. Yeah. It's not like you're not like you portray.
We always, when we had group classes, obviously we don't, the new model we don't have them anymore. But we always cap classes at 10.
Okay.
Because assholes became bigger assholes when they got to 11 or 12 or 13, right? People just...
Okay.
And it was mainly, at that point, I was just like, I don't like it when there's more than 11 people in the room and I'm one of them.
Okay.
The bad qualities tend to come out of someone.
Yeah.
When there's more people around. And so when I started the business, that's one of the things we just went and done. Like so 10. Why are you doing that? And you'd have all the reasons, right? The safety and the spacing and that. But the real reason was that people are generally nicer in smaller groups and bigger groups.
That's interesting.
So
Yeah, that's probably true, I think. Yeah.
that's why we never went anywhere near any of the CrossFit events or any of those sort of things, like the big things. Like we never went anywhere near them because I was like, there's nothing I can think of worse than a bunch of people that just want to take their shirts off and get in a group and so walk on their hands more. I was like, but we were a CrossFit gym at the time, but there was nothing I could think of that was worse than that because it was just that compounding effect of assholeness. Just
Because the asshole thing, that's always insecurity. It's always insecurity somewhere. I know, and we all have things we're slightly insecure about, but you do always find that the old adage about the loudest person in the room is the weakest person in the room.
yeah.
There is truth to that. People are generally, if you're walking into a room trying to overpower it with your personality, that's for a reason. That's you trying to dominate that situation so that people don't find out that actually, you have these things that you're not quite so happy about with yourself. Yeah.
I know we kind of went down a wee kind of rabbit hole there.
Yeah.
So obviously the initial response to the ethos and stuff was military personnel. It was blue light, and I imagine I mean, everyone loves a firefighter, right? No one. So
especially firefighters.
Especially firefighters. So I mean, but it started to grow that way, didn't it? Because you've got the red light, you've got green light, you've got all those flags and stuff. Are you finding now that as things are maybe getting a little bit bigger for you, that it's connecting with people that aren't in necessarily what considered service jobs, but they still have that thought process behind them?
Yeah, totally. And it's fairly. I made that decision to move away from the purely military thing fairly soon, probably within about 7 months of us starting, because it actually, there's a business side to it, which is if your pool is only this big, eventually you're going to not run out of customers, but why not expand it? And also that I'm quite a sort of logical person, and the logic of it started to and kind of an unfairness of it kind of started to eat away at my brain, which was this is ethos. It's just being a responsible person who's responsible for yourself, and obviously service can take all forms. Then actually, this is not. You might find those attributes potentially more in people who are in service professions. That's possible. If someone feels that sort of vocational thing and wants to go do that, it fits there. But there's plenty of people who believe in that mindset and want to live that mindset that way. And like I say, I ain't claiming this mindset. I've trademarked it in a way, but none of this stuff is new.
Yeah.
I've just put it on a t-shirt with a nice logo. That's all it is.
Where did the Cineator part come from?
So I studied religion at uni. So I'm not religious, but I studied religion at uni. And the first year, the uni I went to was a Christian university. So the first year we spent learning about Christianity, and I read loads of books on like Christianity and sort of myth and ritual in Christianity and all that. And that's where I heard about the concept of a sin eater. Now I was wary at first about having it involved with the brand, because I'm not Christian and I don't want the brand to be linked to particularly any religion, because there's good and bad in all religions. So I didn't want it to be religious. Like I know, and particularly in the US, there's a lot of US guys who like it because if they see in it the Christian side of it, which is cool. That's absolutely fine because it works for them. Mm-hmm. But so the concept of a sin eater being somebody who you'd have these weirdos who would be on the edge of town, like slightly outcast type people who were kind of expendable in a way. And if you were a Christian person who had done some sketchy things in your life and perhaps weren't sure you were going to get to heaven, you would pay the sin eater to get this person in. And what they would do, they would eat a ritual meal, which would symbolize all the sins that you had. And by them eating that meal and taking on those sins, you would then enter heaven. So that's that sacrifice thing. somebody putting themselves potentially in the harm's way of hell in that example, so that somebody else could go to heaven. So yeah, that's kind of how I was aware of it. And there's mentions of sin eating in, films and stuff like that. It's actually in, I think it's, which Bourne film is it? It's Bourne. It's the one with Jeremy Renner in. Bourne Legacy, I think it is. There's a little bit in there where they talk about the concept of sin eating and having to go and do shitty things for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where that came from.
Okay.
Yeah. And the hangman thing is pretty much just I just needed a cool logo, so I started looking at what could it be, and I started looking at tarot cards, read about a load of tarot cards, researched them, and found something that I could kind of twist the meaning of to fit with the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes us back to, there's now people that are, I saw the one you posted earlier this week where it was the Sin Eater and the Soul Fleet.
Yeah, which is cool. They're good guys. Yeah, awesome. I mean, they're mega blokes. Yeah, it's a very. I remember the first time it happened, and it was weird. I shit myself. Jen, honestly, I shit myself when it happened. There's a guy, and to be fair to him, he. I don't know if he still follows us. I don't know if he's even on social media anymore. But he wouldn't mind me referring to him as like a militant Catholic, I think. Okay. He was a very religious guy, and he was very into it, and he got the logo tattooed on his upper thigh. He was the first guy that got it done. And I was like, whoa, because that's me in trouble now. Yeah. I cannot mess this up. That's at least one person who has this on their skin for life. And then it sort of snowballed. We get, generally, we get one probably every 2 weeks, but they seem to come in batches. So we get like 5 in a one.
Yeah.
But I just like it because everybody sees something slightly different in the logo. So the logo is, I like it because it doesn't say what it is. Mm-hmm. It's just, you can wear the gear. There's the logo. It's just a cool logo. If you look into the meaning behind it, there's meaning. Mm-hmm. And with the tattoos, people change it. So the skeleton hanging upside down, the hangman generally stays the same, but people will change maybe the thing that he's holding. So in the logo, he's holding his own heart. The idea being that it's a black heart. The idea is being that despite the fact that he's been through some hardship and he's taken on this burden of doing things for other people, he's holding his heart out to say, no, heart's still here, heart's still strong. That's the idea of it. When people change that, they change other elements of the design. And I love that. I think it's great. There's been some amazing ones. I like that people can take what is a very simple symbol with a strong meaning and apply it slightly differently to their own circumstances. And I suppose that's one of the selling points. So again?
Have you seen any bad ones yet?
I can't say that. I've never seen, okay, when I say bad ones, I've never seen a bad one as in a bad version of the design, as in what they take. I've seen artistry that's better than other artistry. Yeah. But I have to get away from that in my head. There's been some incredible ones, and there's been some ones that have probably been done by the first tattooists that they saw on their street. But then that comes down to some people just don't know. If you're not a tattoo person, you go, I just want to get this done. I want to get this done. And you go to the first place and you get it done. And I think that means more than the fact that perhaps the artwork that you've got it still means the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen plenty of Power Rangers tats that have been terrible over the years. It's one of those things. It still means the same thing.
Yeah, good deal. Right, so if guys are wanting or to connect more, find out more, you guys also have the podcast that you do with
good podcast.
HR4K and Contact Coffee. So Andy and Ben, is that the guys?
So Contact Coffee is Luke and Nick, and HR4K is owned by Ben Garwood. So and that's quite the podcast kind of grew as it's like a public expression of our WhatsApp group that we have together.
Mhm.
So Contact Coffee started about a year before me, and I sort of heard about them, and eventually we sort of DM'd and spoke about each other. And it turns out we have a very similar background. They're Royal Marines, both of them, but we've worked in similar circles. Ben, I knew from 2Pro originally.
Mhm.
Then he went to Pathfinders, and then he eventually bounced SAS. So he's and he left like last year. So he's SAS guy.
Yep.
And he has this like HL4K, which is pretty much just like a hub for people with shared interests, I suppose. But yeah, we gradually got to know each other. We have this WhatsApp group where we have that as like a warm fuzzy. So it's like, right, I'm thinking of doing this. Am I being a dick? Yes, you are being a dick. Okay. Have you seen this? Yeah, I've seen that. What do you think of it? Well, I think it's okay. You know, it's a sounding board so that we don't release any angst and nightmarishness into public. You know, we do that in-house first because we're all similar backgrounds, similar mindsets, and running kind of similar businesses in a way with a certainly similar audience set. And the podcast just came out of that. Like, I started doing them originally on my own. So if you start from the beginning, it is just me in my house, in a spare room in my house, with my dogs going mental, with me just spouting my mind into the void. And then I said, you know, do you want to get on? And we gradually made this thing. For ages, it was called the Syndicate Guild Gaz podcast, with them just coming on. And we rebranded this year to be the Group Podcast. Group podcast coming from, you know, UKSF Group, which is the group we used to work in. And yeah, it's just, we do it because we like doing it. We do it because it's just us, mates, having a chat.
It's basically Loose Women, but
Yeah, pretty much, dude. That's pretty much it. That's generally it. Especially when Ben gets real ranty and angry. Ben gets angry about something. Yeah, we started getting a couple of guests on, but we don't want to do that guest thing. Like, guests are good to have. They are good every now and then, but we don't make any money out of it, and I don't think it particularly affects the sales or anything like that, really. So it's extra pressure to do it. We do it because we enjoy it. We don't want that thing of like, well, we need to get a decent guest. We need to can we get this guy? Can we get this guy on? Because you're back into that chasing stuff, you know, because you do tend to get the same people on podcasts, don't you? You said, hey, the same person, they do like a circuit and they go on everyone's podcast. And yeah, the interviewer might get, you know, different answers from them, depending on who they are. But we don't want to do that. We get guests on when we feel like it, and we just have a nice time chatting as mates, you know, because I think, feedback we get from it says that's what people like anyway. It's like just listening to a conversation.
Aye.
Yeah.
And we can't do it at the moment, so it's
Exactly.
hang out at the pub and do it, so we may as well do it online. Right, man, anything else you want to hit on before we finish up? I think we've been on longer than I expected, so.
I can just talk shit if I need to, mate. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good. Right, man. As always, I appreciate your time. And
thank you. Thanks for having me.
And if anyone wants to get in touch, Syndicators Guild is online, and all the usual places, Instagram, Facebook, all.
Yeah, it's all Syndicators Guild. You can just find us anywhere. Yeah. Cheers, dude.